This episode is one that holds some real wisdom and insight on how we can have some mindset mastery and emotional intelligence in order to navigate this challenging time. We really feel that this time can be used for transformation, hence the term Corona Cocoon, but it takes some shadow work and being intentional as well.
Yes, exactly. And our guest today is going to guide us through that process. She blends the compassion and tenderness of an angel and the wisdom and strength of a shaman to guide profound journeys of core healing and spiritual awakening. As a certified high performance coach, shamanic healer, and soul guide, she has guided thousands of individuals through core life shifts, helping them to turn their life around and manifest the life of their dreams. She is the host of the internationally acclaimed Shamanic Healing podcast and the founder of Shamanic Healing, based in Sedona, Arizona, where she offers high-performance coaching, inspirational workshops, group retreats, private healing sessions, and online courses. She is a shamanic breathwork pioneer, full of sage wisdom and a glowing presence that holds space for soulful expansion, personal healing, and spirit embodiment. She teaches us to embrace our divine power, that we can be stewards of the earth and its resources, and that we can cultivate true, loving relationships and together raise the vibration of the world. Please help us welcome Anahata Ananda, this divine earth angel, to the show.
Want to go through one more?
Sure.
Hello, and welcome, boys and babes, to the Majic Hour podcast, a place where we navigate through life's peaks and valleys with all the vulnerability and shamelessness we can muster. With the help of world-class guests from all walks of life, we uncover new truths and valuable tools for manifesting our highest potential. I'm your host, Mercedes Terrell, along with my partner in shine, Jade Bryce.
Hi, you guys. So if you're listening to this from almost anywhere in the world, you're likely still on lockdown, which we are now calling the Corona Cocoon. We want to remind you that we're here with you, and we're doing what we can to keep us all headed in a positive direction through the efforts of this show.
Yes, fam. This episode is one that holds some real wisdom and an insight on how we can have some mindset mastery and emotional intelligence in order to navigate this challenging time. We really feel this time can be used for transformation, hence the term Corona Cocoon, but it does take some shadow work and being intentional as well.
Yes, exactly. And our guest today is going to guide us through that process. She blends the compassion and tenderness of an angel and the wisdom and strength of a shaman to guide profound journeys of core healing and spiritual awakening. As a certified high-performance coach, shamanic healer, and soul guide, she has guided thousands of individuals through core life shifts, helping them to turn their life around and manifest the life of their dreams. She is the host of the internationally acclaimed Shamanic Healing podcast and the founder of Shamanic Healing, based in Sedona, Arizona, where she offers high-performance coaching, inspirational workshops, group retreats, private healing sessions, and online courses. She is a shamanic breathwork pioneer, full of sage wisdom and a glowing presence that holds space for soulful expansion, personal healing, and spirit embodiment. She teaches us to embrace our divine power, that we can be stewards of the earth and its resources, and that we can cultivate true loving relationships and together raise the vibration of the world. Please help us welcome Anahata Ananda, this divine earth angel, to the show. Hi. Sideways. She's frozen. Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you are sideways.
You look great, though. Your background's amazing.
What? Okay, so make it vertical.
Yeah.
All right, let me do a little switcheroo. Hi,
There
goddesses.
Hi.
Hi. You look awesome. I love all the plants in your background.
I know, I'm all about the plants.
Yeah, me too.
Have fresh air always.
That's so funny because my magic trick today on the end of your episode after you get off, we'll be doing magic tricks. And one is to add plants to your workspace or to your house.
100%.
And I'm quarantining at my boyfriend's, and I was telling him how I was really missing my home. And so he went to a plant nursery and got like a truck full of plants to make me feel more at home.
We need the fresh air, frankly, right now.
Especially. Yeah.
Oh, hi, goddesses.
Hello.
So we were going to read your bio and then start asking you the questions.
And
Okay.
before we jump in, go ahead.
One quick thing, or two quick things, is it's shamanic breathwork rather than shamanic breathwork. Because I have my own
breathwork. Okay.
Yeah, I have my own take on that.
Is that
and the free gift that I want to give your audience, that in the intro is a guided shamanic animal spirit journey.
Amazing.
Wow.
So I just thought that your audience would like that. And then I'm going to give them a discount on like balancing the feminine masculine on a course. But I just thought that your audience, since we're kind of diving into shamanism, would enjoy that as a free gift.
That would be amazing.
Go animal spirit guided a journey to get some animal spirit wisdom.
Yeah, my animal is the fox, but it's right behind me. But I would have always thought it was an elephant, and then during an Aya ceremony, it was clear that it was a fox. So I changed it in Mercedes. In your question, I changed it to shamangelic breathwork. You changed it on your paper? Okay.
Yes.
Which question is that? I don't see.
When you ask her to lead us through the breathwork, say shamangelic instead of shaman.
Okay.
Yeah, near the end, there's a question about, why shamangelic breathwork is like Aya as far as, a deep experience to kind of.
And we've never done it, so we're so excited.
You must come here and do it. Where are you guys based?
So I live just a couple miles away from Tasha and Kyle. So I was watching Bear when she went to go see you.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. My kids are the same age, so I have Irish twins, so they love going over there.
Oh my gosh, Irish twins. I have twins.
Yeah. She told me. And then so the first thing was the gift, the second thing was the shamangelic, and everything else is okay?
Yeah, it's all awesome. Good. And let's just set this intention that every conversation, every transmission, every question is just landing as deep medicine for everybody listening or watching, and that the divine speak through us, and that we weave a tapestry of soulful magic, this beautiful carpet ride that everybody that is on the receiving end, including us, have deep medicine for our soul, physically, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Before we
this is just audio though, right? Or
it is video clips for promos.
Okay, cool.
But as far as the airing of the episode, it'll just be audio. Yeah.
Okay.
And one more thing, I want to just make sure, or if you do have any headphones with a microphone, that would even make your sound clearer. Do you know if you do offhand? If not, not a huge deal.
Let me see if I have something that will work with my phone, because I'm on my phone.
Got you. Okay.
Let me just
because I'm hearing myself back, and I'm worried that's going to come into the recording.
Let me see.
Take that spoon out so we don't hear it. I always hear that thing.
I'm going to mute it because there's chunks of mushrooms. And when I drink it without stirring it first, then I get I'll cough on the mushrooms. So I'll mute it before
When you mute it, when you listen back, do you ever hear the mute, or is it just when we're recording?
I don't hear it ever.
Because we hear it like when we're recording with you, but I was wondering if it picks up on the recording.
Tell me if you hear it right now.
Undo it. Yeah, you hear it goes.
Yeah, I've never heard it in the listening back. I wonder why though.
I don't know.
I probably only mute it like once or twice an episode though. It's if I'm coughing or drinking that, or if I hear dogs outside, but I haven't heard it yet.
So there's two different options here that may work with my phone. Let's just see.
Oh, you've got the pro mic.
I've got a couple different setups.
Does that make any difference?
Yeah, huge difference.
Test. Does that make any difference?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Or is it about the same?
It's a huge difference. Can you hear us?
It doesn't work because I can't hear you when I do that. It doesn't work, right?
Can you hear us now?
No, I can hear you now.
Okay, so it worked as far as your vocal sounded great, but you might have to change where your sound is coming in and out of.
All of a sudden, your sound is much lower. Start speaking a little bit.
Did you hear what I said about so your vocal sounded great on that microphone, but you might have to go in the settings there and change your input and output or your microphones.
Okay, hold.
I don't know. Hopefully she can do that on the phone.
You're still kind of low right now. Still, we'll get it all sorted.
Sorry about this.
No worries. It's kind of like this with the audio recordings. Is that
Yeah.
The person's sound is going to be live.
Oh, she has the same little ring light as us.
One second.
Let me go turn the air off real quick.
Hold on. I'm just going to get another mic set up, but it's all tangled, so that'll be 1 second.
We're not in a hurry, so don't feel rushed. You know what I mean? Say something.
Is that any better? Test.
Yes, that's much better. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Let me reset this because it's crooked. Okay, speak again and let me see.
Test. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Plenty loud.
Great.
So that's better.
Yes, you sound better. And then just make sure your hair isn't tapping the mic, but it's pretty good right now, so you should be fine. So you know.
Right. Hold on a little bit. Yeah, that should make it clearer.
Yeah, it's great.
Make sure my little stand is good here. Okay, so that's better.
So much better. I was hearing my echo back, so I knew that was going to pick up Sometimes it does that. I don't know why, but the delay, I guess, in the recording.
Okay, ready? All right, so I'll read your bio and then we'll get started with the questions. She blends the compassion and tenderness of an angel and the wisdom and strength of a shaman to guide profound journeys of core healing and spiritual awakening. As a certified high-performance coach, shamanic healer, and soul guide, she has guided thousands of individuals through core life shifts, helping them to turn their life around and manifest the life of their dreams. She is the host of the internationally acclaimed Shamangelic Healing podcast. She is the founder of Shamangelic Healing, based in Sedona, Arizona, where she offers high-performance coaching, inspirational workshops, group retreats, private healing sessions, and online courses. She is a shamangelic breathwork pioneer, full of sage wisdom and a glowing presence that holds space for soulful expansion, personal healing, and spirit embodiment. She teaches us to embrace our divine power, that we can be stewards of the earth and its resources, and that we can cultivate true, loving relationships and together raise the vibration of the world. Please help us welcome Anahata Ananda, this divine earth angel, to the show.
Oh, what a beautiful intro. You added some extra magic there, and beautiful goddess, beautiful sisters. It is a pleasure to weave the magic with you today. I'm excited to dive deep and, weave something really special for the listeners today.
Yeah, so are we. So this is a very transformative time that we're in, and there's a lot of fearful energy. We'd love to get a shamanic viewpoint on what's happening energetically right now.
Well, the shamanic wisdom is about honoring cycles. And if we look at nature as a great teacher, it goes through birth and death cycles every year. And as humans, we're kind of stuck in this perpetual spring and summer. And nature is very beautiful, and she models for us how to let go, like in the fall when she is aware and sensing that things are changing, things are ending, and she's able to take a pause and let go of things that don't serve any longer or that would hold her energy back from replenishment and going inward to preserve and cultivate energy that will be needed to birth again. And so she's really modeled for us this beautiful flow of cycles. And as humans, we don't like to let go of things. We don't like to close chapters. We don't like to slow down. And this whole time, this whole virus, this whole experience is forcing us into a fall and winter season that we have been avoiding. And because we haven't put ourselves in the fall, we haven't allowed ourselves to slow down, she's helping us do that. And because she needs a break from, as we can see with the waters clearing up and fish coming back and life, returning, she's able to filter her waters and replenish herself because we're slowing down. And because we're in this closed loop system with Mother Nature and with Mother Earth, when she needs to breathe, we need to breathe. And we have been in this place of polluting her waters and her air, and it's affecting us physically. That's why we have a virus that is respiratory. That's why, we are being forced to slow down and look at, because in the fall, we would look at, what do I need to let go of? And if things aren't sustainable, like our, let's say, dance quote with particular substances or go lifestyle, or a job that doesn't seem to fit us any longer that perhaps we've outgrown, that's the opportunity to pause and say, do I need to make any changes? Do I need to let go of anything? Without that pause, we just keep holding on to things that aren't in alignment, whether that's a substance, a lifestyle, a relationship, a job, a way of being that really isn't serving us anymore.
Yeah.
So we're being invited to reconnect to the cycles of surrender and letting go and replenishment, along with stillness, quiet, and rejuvenation. And that's got a lot of us really uncomfortable because we don't like to be forced to be still.
Yeah. Is that kind of, in a way, it's the divine feminine rising, right?
It is the feminine aspects of that is it's more of a lunar cycle, and the feminine of nurturing and patience and self-care and slowing down and stillness, which is more of the feminine, and the masculine is more active and and energetic. And we actually need both of those cycles. We need both the feminine to replenish and rest and be patient and fill our cup back up. And we also need that masculine energy of go and move forward, which is kind of more fiery, and the feminine is more watery. And as a culture, we have been a lot more fiery. And so this is a time to be a little bit more watery, to get into our emotions, to be more sensitive, to be more reflective. And in that sensitivity, we also get to look at where our emotions are rising when those attachments or leaves that we've been, branches that we've been holding on to really tight, aren't serving us any longer. And we've probably been getting some wake-up calls about that this lifestyle or this addiction or this habit isn't serving, but we've been ignoring the signals. And nature doesn't ignore the signals. When it starts getting colder, she adapts by adjusting and letting go of things. And as things right now are changing, we are being invited to let go of things that we've been attached to. And so it will take a lot of the feminine energy, gentleness and compassion and patience right now to navigate this time of our emotional response to being forced to let go of certain things that we've been attached to. And it might be material, it might be certain freedoms, it might be certain products on a shelf. And that's because the way we've been living is not sustainable.
Yeah. I know Kyle Kingsbury brought up the other day when we were talking about this, that a lot of men don't know how to be with their families. They don't know how to just be and like stay inside and sit still. And so it's causing the men to panic even more right now and like, stock up as much as possible and find ways how they can still be the masculine. And so it's interesting. It's calling the men to tap into their feminine.
It's calling all of us, to soften, to slow down, to listen, to feel. And especially with men, because they've been programmed, don't feel, don't cry, don't talk about it. You're the doer, you're the protector, you're the provider. And so we also get to look at some of the social programming that is attached to men that is perhaps not sustainable, that allows men to also be the caregiver and sensitive and still and playful. And we get to have compassion for the parts of us, men or women, that are being faced with ways of being that are not balanced and whole, because within each of us, women and men, we have feminine qualities and masculine qualities. And women have been, in order to prove ourselves, in order to feel worthy, we have come out of our feminine and into our masculine. And that doesn't mean we can't be badass entrepreneurs. It doesn't mean that we can't be leaders and providers as well. However, doing that from a masculine place of force and push, and I have to prove and hustle, whether we're a man or a woman, isn't really working. It's causing burnout, resentment, overwhelm. And this is where, in this pause, we get to look at how I'm orienting to money, how I'm orienting to my relationship, how I'm orienting to those that are listening that are parents, and the roles in which I am identifying with. Are those really aligned with my soul, or are those roles and hats that I have taken on that are actually belong to somebody else, or they belong to a different generation, or I took that on trying to fit in, or there was social pressure to go on this path? That when in this pause, we get to deeply look at, is the life I've created aligned with my soul and my soul's essence? And it's scary to turn inward and to look at that and to face that perhaps the life I've created is not really nourishing my soul, or it's having a deep impact and detriment to my physical health, or it's creating stress on my relationship. I'm not showing up emotionally because I'm afraid to look at the emotions, because a lot of us, when we get still, that's when the emotion starts to rise. Our fear, our insecurities, our core wounding tends to rise when we slow down. And so the go-go and the do-do is actually a coping mechanism to avoid the inner work.
Yeah, I think we're very much seeing that now, especially in relationship being in lockdown, for this pandemic. All that stuff is really rising to the surface. But I also have a kind of personal question off of that. Is I'm being approached with some new business opportunity, new even career path and direction. And I've always been the person who has been residing in her masculine more often than not. And it has served me well, the reasons that came about in my young childhood. It had pushed me to do really well in business and be very, organized and oriented in that direction. But I found a lot of places where it didn't serve me well, like I want to be able to be the feminine woman who I was born to be. And so I'm asking, how do I better balance so what I guess I'm most afraid of is that now that this new opportunity is coming about, is it really the universe speaking to me in a way like, well, this is a test. You can take this and go with it in the sense of go back into your old patterns and take it on head on and do it in the way you always have, which is, like bulldoze through. Or is there a better way for me to do that? Or should I just not be doing this at all, take a step back completely from it? So do you have any advice on how to navigate that when you're in the midst of where I'm at currently?
This is a great question. And it's for everybody because we're in the midst of making big pivots. And how do I change and create a life that's more sustainable, whether it's within your relationships, whether it's business opportunities? And that's where the stillness and deep listening comes from. Because if we are making those choices from panic, fear, hustle, push, force, we're going to create more destruction. Whether that destruction is, I make money, but it's at the expense of my emotional health, or it's at the expense of my physical health, or I'm not present in my relationship, so it causes conflict in my relationship. So this is where we get to really deepen our spiritual practices, which is more that aspect of the feminine and being receptive for divine guidance that is required with stillness. We can't come to that answer clearly when we're going a million miles an hour and we're juggling 7 things. It invites us in that feminine quality to be still, to be receptive, to be open, to listen, and to deeply check in with, is this alignment with who I am right now as a soul? And to peel back some of the layers of have to and must. And like you, as a young girl, you said, hey, I had to come forward with the masculine to become self-sufficient. And, I started working at 12 and because there was a need to provide for myself. And I learned how to do that. And the wonderful thing with whether we're men or women, we learned how to do that. And then we get to see about where there has been the destructive aspects of it. So in this time, when we're looking at opportunities or the need to pivot off a lifestyle that isn't sustainable, or spending habits or business that is causing adrenal fatigue, or it's not healthy balance-wise, is a deep listening so that we can be answering that from a soul level, so that we can be answering, is this in alignment with how I came to serve? And I may be faced with looking at that old part of me that is afraid to let go of something, or afraid to move into the unknown, or afraid to do it in a way that is unfamiliar because the familiar way has worked.
Yeah, that's, I think, what my biggest obstacle is there is like, what is the new way? I'm most afraid that I will fall back into the old way because that's my comfort zone.
Right. And that's where we really get to feel like, let me actually move into the old way and learn from it. What worked about the old way so that we can precipitate out that resourcefulness of the old way, the get back up and try it if I fail. Those qualities, those kinds of things, the confidence, the resilience, those kinds of qualities, when we look back at the old way, we may want to keep those. That's where the tree doesn't let go of the trunk and the branches. It just lets go of the leaves. So at this time, we also get to look at what could be upgraded. Right. What is not working so well? Or where has my passion for this part of the business changed? Where has this dynamic in my relationship met its ceiling and we need to grow so that our relationship can go to the next level? Where have I met diminishing returns with this addiction, with insert your addictive substance here? Where have I now experienced diminishing returns with sugar, alcohol, pot, sex, you name it, that is actually taking my energy rather than giving it to me. And then that might be, maybe it's time to let go of this substance or this part of my business that is actually causing a lot more strain and stress and frustration. Maybe it's because when I'm in that listening space, spirit, divine, creator, source, my higher self, insert your version of that there, is trying to get me to look at making an adjustment or a shift. Maybe it's a little shift where it looks like, oh, I just need to hire somebody, or I need to delegate this piece, or I need to let go of this piece in order to birth or reach for something new. And this is where sitting in that discomfort also allows us to grieve and say goodbye to that. That's the winter season. And it also gives us this space to be still and allow the inspiration for what new seed am I planting in the springtime, because it might be totally different than anything that is in your current box. That's why that winter season is so valuable, to be receptive and allow spirit or inspiration, or to bring spirit in so that we can be fertile and receptive still, and in this place of fertile receptivity to allow a totally new seed to be planted within us that lights us up where we're excited, where that fire and passion of the spring then provides a whole new path of abundance and prosperity, because we've been allowing something new to come in.
Yeah, for me, I think so much of it is about the worry of me falling back into my old pattern, but also the outside pressure of when I'm in the mix with these people who see me in that light of that masculine who is always glorifying busy, and that person, maybe call it corporate or whatever you want to call that. I'm comfortable in that skin because it's been me for so long. And I feel like I want to show up for them because that's been my tendency and such a strong part of my character. So it's, I think, releasing, like you're saying, that part and letting go of that, if the parts of that aren't serving me. Some of it is valuable still, but then a big piece of it is trust. I think the word trust is big for me right now, like trusting myself that I'll be able to do it a different way and it will be okay. Like the world will not fall apart, trust that.
Absolutely. And those are both the feminine qualities of trust and faith sit right there side by side. That's why the inner meditation is so valuable, to trust that I'm going to be okay. And also in that inner authenticity, that I'm following my inner authenticity and that I can stand in the presence of other people's judgment. Because what I heard there is, I don't want to disappoint external expectations. Right. And that might be one of those leaves to let go in order to follow your authentic path. You may be met with the presence of external judgment or criticism for what the hell are you doing going that way?
Yep.
Or I don't like the way you're changing. And now we're going back to our attachment as children,
right, for
our parents' approval. We're going back to the teenage version of us that wants to fit in with the cool kids and doesn't want to be rejected. And we're going back to, as the solar plexus, our individual and actually our fire center, the third chakra, around individual and individual light, where we're no longer sourcing that external power validation from somebody else. We're maturing to find our individuality and our soul's mission that is not dependent on or guided by external validation.
Right.
Because that is definitely one we got to let go of, because our superpowers, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from our individuality and our authenticity right now, is that in the new paradigm, each of us bringing our authentic magic and our individual power to weave together is what's going to create the new paradigm. We don't need same of the old. We need new of the more authentic, because that unique inspiration that you're bringing is valuable, and it's going to inspire others to let go of the old way and to follow their authenticity. And so in that way, it's uncomfortable, scary, and necessary to be the way shower, which is going to invite you to face the attachments of being judged or criticized by the people that used to at times have your back, that in this moment, as you venture out into the unknown, may become your fiercest critic sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
I
needed to hear all that.
It feels insensitive to say this because of all the people who are sick or who are worried about their loved ones, but your perspective makes this virus seem like such a blessing. And so it really shifts it from like victim consciousness to like creator consciousness. And I'm really thankful for the way you articulated all of that.
I feel like that 10,000 foot view, when we when we can pull ourselves back out of our individual bodies, we get to see the world in general as this always positive thing. If we want to look at like you're saying, it's going through these different seasons of rebirth. And
that's the perspective of the hawk or the eagle when we look at it from a shamanic perspective. And oh, by the way, you'll get it, people listening will get a free guided animal spirit journey, so that's going to be really cool to help
people.
That's amazing.
But what you both are addressing is the 10,000 foot perspective, or the perspective of the eagle. In the Hindu tradition, it would be the third eye and the crown. And this is the coronavirus, which means crown.
Yes.
It's getting us to awaken to a higher perspective, because what we're being shown is that the foundation that we have built upon is not stable. It is not sustainable. That's why everybody in the root chakra is being very triggered around health. Can I survive? Money, stability, safety, hoarding, survival, all of these and community is all being completely radically threatened, because the way we have built humanity is not sustainable with longevity. It's not sustainable with the environment. It's not sustainable with our health. And this virus has given us the freedom and the invitation to actually look at our root system and where we have built it on sand,
right?
In the air, and that we can't just keep living on credit. We can't just be stuffing our emotions. We can't just having an unhealthy relationship to consumption and plastic to avoid feeling what we need to feel. And that these patterns of that humanity has gone down a path, this virus is bringing to our attention that the foundation that we built upon is not sustainable. And it's giving us the invitation. Sometimes we're given this invitation by little knocks on the door that we've all ignored because we're so beautifully stubborn and arrogant and avoidant that sometimes we don't hear a gentle whisper or a knock on the door. It takes us a 2x4 or 3-week, isolation to force us to slow down and look at patterns that aren't sustainable. And this is, there's a difference between an invitation to awaken, and now this is a demand. This is a command to awaken, so that, our trajectory with humanity can be more in harmony with humanity and with the planet. And so we've actually all asked for this at a core level, awakened to be in harmony with everything.
Yeah. So with that, how can we reconnect back to our primal relationship to Mother Earth and access her power, wisdom, strength, and love? Because it is obvious that she's trying to get our attention right now and inviting us to do so.
Yeah. Get back on the land. Nature's my church. It's my sanctuary. It's where I receive inspiration. It's where I heal. It's where I listen. It's where I play. It's where I adventure. And she's inviting you to come and play with her again. As kids, we used to do that. We used to play outside and climb trees and, play in the mud and splash in the water. We used to do that as kids, and we've forgotten how beautiful it is to just play in nature. And I don't mean just to hike a summit from that place of, conquer and adventure, but I mean to walk barefoot and, lay down and allow her healing energy, because, grounding is proven scientifically to help boost the immune system, to breathe fresh air. When we're concerned right now about the quality of our air, I'm out every day on the land, totally tree hugging,
soaking in sun.
Yeah. And getting kissed by the sun, held by Mother Earth, and having the trees filter the air for me. And this is where, and be in the water element. I like to be by water so that I can be in that flexibility and surrender. And so get back in nature, because she can be that divine mother where we might need to be held through something that we're scared about or afraid of, just like, we would go to a mother to be held if we fell off our bike or something like that, or skinned our knee. So this is where she can model the divine feminine for us. This is where we can work out. We don't have to be in a gym lifting weights, because we can go outside and climb mountains. We can climb trees. We can lift rocks. We can swim in her waters. There's lots of ways that I think we've forgotten with modernization how to
Mhm.
be in nature in a playful, healthy, nurturing way. And in that, I did a little video for the equinox that's on my Instagram. It's also on my YouTube, which is a whole ceremony about seed planting intentions and connecting back to Mother Earth, where we can say, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize for the way I have disrespected you. I apologize for, not honoring you. And let me express my gratitude in this moment for the healing herbs, for the fresh air, for your gravity, which is holding us on this beautiful planet, for your patience with my ignorance and my overconsumption that has hurt us both. I apologize for moving away from a harmonious, respectful, conscious relationship with you, and reestablish that connection by coming home to her, and also ask her, how can I serve you? How can I support you right now? And maybe that is planting trees. Maybe that is using less plastic. Maybe that is getting away from so much consumption and packaged materials. Maybe that is planting more of your own garden and eating fresh and local rather than blueberries from New Zealand that are crossing her oceans.
Right.
Just like when we have fruit in our backyard, or we could grow it, or we can actually eat more locally, so that we are not having shipping containers going across her oceans. And her blood is our blood. We are mostly water. She is mostly water. That is her blood, and that is our blood.
Yeah.
And so we're in a closed loop. And if we get back to that, where can I clean up my footprint, enlighten it, and be in a listening, respectful relationship with Mother Earth, so we can serve her and love her and be grateful for what she's given us.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. We have a question from our Magic Mob where Mondo asks or says, you teach on multiple ways to heal your relationship with your parents. And I know that in a time like this, we're thinking about how we may lose family members, which brings up such a mix of emotions, especially for those of us who maybe have unhealed trauma with our families. So can you tell us what the first few steps are in mending those relationships?
That's a deep question, and it's a good question. And it's relationships with our parents or anyone that was influential in our childhood, because that might have been a step parent, it might have been a grandmother or grandfather. And if we look at our childhood as a classroom, and we step back from the expectations that they were supposed to know everything, provide everything, and keep me safe, if we step back from that and acknowledge that as souls we came into a classroom that we chose and we created, then we can see every experience and every player in the classroom of our childhood as a teacher. And it took me a long time to see my father as a teacher, because he was my arch nemesis and my greatest villain. I placed him in that part in my life as the person that hurt me most, the person that wounded me. And that was my story for many years, until I got to a place in my life where I realized, wow, if I'm here to understand love, which is my spiritual name, Anahata, if I'm here to understand love, then one of the deepest expressions of love is forgiveness. And how could I learn forgiveness if I had only been loved unconditionally? If I had never been wounded or hurt or abused physically or emotionally or rejected or judged or any of that, how could I ever access the classroom of forgiveness and understanding and compassion? And it took me many years, well into my 30s, before I came to that understanding of, oh, my father came here for me. The lesson he is bringing is to help expand my understanding of love, so that I can actually have compassion for the shadow parts of myself, that I can actually have compassion for the shadow parts and the darkest parts of the greatest villains in my story, that I can also have compassion for the shadow aspects of humanity that are causing great conflict and harm upon each other. And this goes back to raising into the heart chakra around compassion and forgiveness. And it also raises us into the crown and perspective to see our greatest villains as just wounded children, that we're not here to teach, to model everything for you, but perhaps in their ignorance and their unconsciousness, also bring to the table for you the gift of compassion and forgiveness, and that they are human too, which doesn't mean that what they did is okay.
Right.
It just means that I don't have to hold anger about it anymore. I can also witness that I have hurt and harmed others in my arrogance and in my unconsciousness and in my immaturity. It helps me turn towards the part of my own shadow. And in those places of the classroom, we get to exercise inquiry. What did this teach me? Did it teach me to respect myself? Did it teach me to understand forgiveness? Did it teach me to, I need to have clear boundaries with people, that my voice matters? Like, what are the lessons that are coming from childhood? Because I guarantee as you grow as a soul, you're going to need those pearls, those lessons, those treasures from your childhood. If there was oppression and I took on this understanding that I don't matter, then somehow, or that everybody else's opinion of me is more important than myself, just like Mercedes, what you're going through about needing to validate yourself, even if somebody else doesn't agree with what you're doing, as you step into this next level, your ability to take those lessons from the past and honor yourself instead of give power away to external validation is actually a powerful lesson that applies right now. Absolutely. So there's plenty of treasures as we go into those most tumultuous relationships when we have the courage to look into those. There's going to be lessons and pearls and tools that are absolutely necessary as you are going into this next chapter of your life that you will need going forward.
Yeah. To be fortunate for all those places, even the darknesses.
I love that. It feels a lot more applicable thinking of it exactly how you articulated it as a classroom. Like, I always have thought everyone's our teacher, but when you think about this is the classroom that you chose, it just helps you, again, move from victim consciousness to creator consciousness. And so thank you again.
Well, even the darkest things, well, we say, oh, well, what about physical abuse or sexual abuse? And, one of my clients has, been on the receiving end of a tremendous amount of sexual abuse in her lifetime. And she is now working in prisons to help with rapists, to help with their healing and their transformation and compassion and forgiveness for how they came to that place in their life, that they would have such, pain themselves, that they would, harm another person in such a way. And her classroom, her training for this kind of work was not to have a PhD from Harvard and to be in theory about what this is. She, at a soul, had her classroom and her training ground was to be experiencing all these different sides of sexual abuse, so that in her evolution to come to forgiveness, she is such a powerful healer and teacher because of her experiences, and that it didn't define her as a victim. In her evolution and her working with her traumas, she became victorious and stronger, that is now able to come back and do some incredible work with men in prisons, and to help heal that part of them and forgive and evolve that part of them. And so that's where even the darkest shadowy things we can find, there's a lesson, there is a blessing. And why did I experience this? So that, because somewhere in my soul blueprint, that plays as a role, whether it's addiction or abuse or, being adopted, divorce, the loss of a loved one from suicide, whatever it is, there is something there that is part of your training ground, because you're here to serve with that tool and that greater awareness to help humanity through it in some way.
Absolutely. I think because it happened in our lives, that's proof that it was something we specifically were meant to experience. So we can make it something happening for us instead of to us. You did mention something I just wanted to touch on, just on a personal note as well. You said your spiritual name And so, and I don't know if, you have a different real name, or were you born to Anahata Ananda as your real name?
Yeah, no, I wasn't born like in an ashram, right? My upbringing was beautiful and challenging and tumultuous, and the full spectrum, like many of us, a full spectrum of experience of light and dark. I think that that's pretty typical. And my spiritual name came as I was studying and evolving and healing from my dark night of the soul, experiencing a lot of rage and anger from those times that hadn't been fully integrated and healed, that I kind of dove into the shamanic path to kind of help me release a lot of the darkness and the shadow and learn from it and evolve from it and become stronger from it. And then after doing that work, I was really drawn to more spiritual practices, meditation, and more of the yogic principles. And it was at that time with my meditation teachers. And I already knew that I was here to study the heart. I already knew that. And they were like, yep. And the Sanskrit term for that is Anahata. And what they added to that was Anahata Ananda, which means blissful heart.
Yeah.
And
so the Kingsburys are naming their daughter's middle name also.
Yeah, Ananda. Yes. And, when they gave me that name, I was like, that's a lot. And so I didn't go by that name for many years, because I was working with moving into that place where I was more loving than not loving. And I think when they gifted me that name, I wasn't quite there yet. And it's a work in process. It doesn't mean I'm always in the love or the bliss frequency, because as a human, I dance in those, gray shades. But I'm more often that than not that. And I'm here still as a student of understanding the heart and its power and its multiple facets and its wisdom, along with the powerful medicine of joy and bliss, which is our birthright. Which means at this time when some of us are way down in survival mode, and that even in that we can move into those frequencies of trust and faith, knowing that we're going to be okay, and that my happiness is not defined by how many zeros in the bank account or what kind of car I drive or how many followers I have on social media, that we're kind of, finding that bliss is not attached to what we thought it was.
Yeah. Bliss is our birthright. I love that. And it brings up worthiness wounds. It brings up all the reasons that we have made excuses that that's not true. Is that something you find in everyone you work with? Is that?
I think that as children, we understand bliss because we play.
We are
we're not burdened by external expectations. I know there's this one picture of me where my pigtails are totally crooked and my bow is like my shoe is untied and I have 2 different color socks on. I'm totally my face is totally dirty, and my smile wraps around my whole face, and it exudes from my body because I'm happy playing outside, and that brings me great joy.
Yeah.
And in the doing and in the becoming, in the diving into the matrix and growing up. I'm not saying we're meant to be in perpetual Peter Pan where we don't take care of everyday responsibilities. I couldn't be a mother if I wasn't responsible for providing my kids with safety and food and a place to sleep. We still want to be grounded, but we also don't want to forget how to play as adults, whether we're the provider or the caregiver or both. We still want to be able to access those frequencies of play and laughter, and that is great medicine. We've become addicted to the workaholic as our value and our worth, but that and accomplishment might, our success might make us feel worthy, but that does not, or fleeting states of, okay, I won that, or I accomplished that, but that isn't a deep sense of joy and bliss. Bliss is playful. It's not coming from accomplishment. Bliss is silliness, not coming from a place of victory. It doesn't have to win or do it a certain way. It's without structure in that way. And silliness by the go-getter is ridiculous. It's a waste of time. It's judged. And we actually need that frequency. It's in the second chakra. We actually need that orange color of the rainbow that is playful and fun. And one of my clients is, runs one of the biggest trading companies in New York. And, I was working with him and I said, hey, how do you play? Do you dance? Do you laugh? Do you draw? Do you, do art? What do you do? And he was like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And that inner child was so abandoned. And within 6 months, he had a heart attack. He's still alive, but he had a heart attack because that part of him that loves to play had not been fed. And so his heart was breaking.
I had a therapist ask me that question, what do you do as playtime? And I was like, I don't. And she put me through a practice. So if anyone listening wants to do that practice with themselves, if they have a real hard time coming up with what they do as playtime, maybe just write down, journal, write down a big list of things that you would consider playtime. What does playtime sound like to you? What's the definition to you? Or is it, jogging outside? Is it running in the park? Is it playing Frisbee? Is it, whatever it is, write it down and then do one of those things.
And I invite it to be less functional. I invite it to not have a means, that it's just, I'm painting just to paint, not to put something on the wall, that my movement is just authentic and it's not, I'm going to run 3 miles today. If we pull out the masculine part of it and we allow it to be purely inspiration and the muse and not functional with a destination or an end result, then we're really getting into the essence of creativity, that just poetry for poetry. And I'm writing because it feels good, or I'm drawing because it's fun. And to get outside of the comfort zone, because most of us are accustomed to writing with, most of us, the right hand. What if we were doing it with the other hand? And if we are actually going into those states of creativity, we're going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to be awkward. And if that inner critic that expects perfection can be sidelined to, I'm just making a necklace for fun, I'm just painting for fun, then we're getting somewhere, which might be a muscle that we haven't flexed in a while.
For sure. As we are seeing right now in our Corona cocoon. Yes, we're being asked to do